Hey, it's me, MLB. Here is the final part 10 of Sunshower, Aizawa, ex-female listener, ex-present Mike. Enjoy. I can't choose. I honestly can't choose. I like you both. I need you both. Your broken voice echoed in their minds as Hizashi and Aizawa headed out of the classroom and down the hall together. The decision had been made to walk down the hall into one of the classrooms there and enter into a room each, and then you would come down and pick a door to open. The man behind that door would become your boyfriend, plain and simple. Well, so it seemed, but there were so many more emotions involved than just simply picking a door to open. Aizawa pushed his hands further into his pockets as he and his best friend for nearly 20 years walked side by side. It's been too long a time together to be doing something like this, he thought as he walked. This is only just going to tear us all apart. Behind him and Hizashi, he could hear you counting down from 20. Meanwhile, Hizashi was in his own mind as well. If she chooses Aizawa's door, then that's it for me. Everything will change. Sure, we'll still be friends, but a lot of it will just be playing pretend. I couldn't bear to see them being close. I've loved her for so long, he thought with a vexed sigh. Aizawa heard Hizashi's sigh over the sound of the wind picking up outside and looked at his friend. You're unhappy with this, he commented. Aren't you as well? Hizashi asked back, his frustration palpable. You know this is going to change everything. Yes, this was the most logical solution, but it's a decision based on pure chance and luck. Zero emotion. Yin herself said she couldn't choose, and you and I both know we wouldn't be able to stand down and let the other step forward. We both want her, he said in a very uncharacteristic stern voice. Aizawa looked at him from under his heavy fringe. Hizashi was correct, but it was too late to revise it now. What's happened has happened, Aizawa said blandly, looking back to the hall as they continued to walk. If you could change things, would you? Hizashi asked Aizawa, placing a hand out to stop the messy ravenette from walking, so they were now standing in the middle of the hall together, with your counting in the background acting like a stressful backing track to their life right now. Aizawa looked Hizashi in the eye for the longest time and then sighed. Yes, he replied bluntly. Then change it! Call it off! Hizashi said urgently. I can't do that, Aizawa said with a shake of his head, because it sends us straight back to square one, and we're stuck in this limbo of all being in love with each other and no one getting anywhere. This was the only logical option to moving on with life. Hizashi scrunched his nose up and sighed loudly. There has to be another way, he said softly, as softly as any good Hizashi could, as he hung his head. They both stood there hearing your counting go from 10 to 9 to 8. Suddenly Hizashi looked up at Aizawa. I have a solution, he said excitedly. With a loud sigh you scrunched your hands into fists and then marched towards the classroom door and out into the hall. The moon was just peeking through the clouds now and was casting just enough light into the school hall that you could see one door on the left closed. You paused. Wait, only one door? Wait, I thought they were supposed to choose a classroom each and go in, and then I was going to be the one to choose a door, you thought, as you stood there for a second, wondering if you had gotten the instructions wrong. Did one leave? You then wondered. No, I don't think one would leave. Is someone in one of the rooms and forgot to close the door? That would totally be a Hizashi thing to do, you thought with a smirk as you poked your head into one of the classrooms opposite the closed door, but no one was there. Odd, you thought, as you stepped over to the closed classroom door and placed a hand on it. Your quirk had been stirring up the wind before, your nerves getting more and more frayed as you had counted down, but walking down the hall to see only one door closed when you were expecting two had thrown you enough that the wind outside had died down a lot. With your hand now resting on the closed door, you pushed it to your left, feeling the wood give way on the tracks underneath it and sending it sliding along. You were super curious to find out what was going on, so kept your head up as you opened the sliding door to see who was inside. Who's in here? You asked, curiously, as your head bobbed to the side to look around the door. To your surprise, both boys were standing inside the room side by side. Hello, Hi, Yin. The voice of both Hizashi and Aizawa said to you, and confusion overcame you. What's going on here? You asked, as you stepped into the room. I thought I was supposed to pick a door, and one of you was going to be behind it, but there's only one door closed, and you're both behind it. Yes, Aizawa said. I think we need to explain something. Okay, you said dubiously. You weren't particularly keen on any more of Aizawa's schemes. He didn't know how to play fair sometimes, especially when a decision was emotion-based and not logic-based. Hizashi and I had a talk while we walked down the hall together. Aizawa said, "It's never a good thing when you two talk," you teased, crossing your arms across your chest in gentle defiance. "This is, I promise," Hizashi said quickly. Okay, you replied dubiously with a smirk. Hizashi rightly pointed out that in this decision there was zero accounting for emotional input, and I apologise for that. Aizawa said to you, and you nodded. "Yes, I agree with Hizashi," you said, giving the blonde a fond glance. "But does that mean that we're now back to the start again? Have you just annulled this? Because now what? It's all out in the open now that we all like each other. Do we just continue on playing at being friends?" you asked. "No," Aizawa replied. "That was my concern too. There needs to be an advancement." "And how do we do that?" you asked pointedly. "Well," Hizashi said, taking the reins of the conversation from Aizawa, "I had an idea. And don't feel pressured to agree to it if you don't want to, but it's the most logical answer as far as emotions and not wanting to disrupt what we have goes," Hizashi said. "Okay, I'm listening," you said curiously. "How would you feel about a relationship with both of us?" Hizashi asked, slinging an arm across Aizawa's shoulders. "I've already asked this man what he thinks, and he said yes to it. Now we need to know if you would approve of it." "Wait," you said, trying to compute what Hizashi had just said. "A threesome relationship? As in, you both be my boyfriend?" you asked, just to be sure that you'd heard it correctly. Hizashi nodded. "Yes, you date both of us, and we date you," he replied. "And you're both okay with that?" you asked, looking from one boy to another. They both nodded. "We've both fallen for you, Yin, and we can't see a life ahead without you in it," Hizashi said. "Like you said, you can't choose, and we don't want to make you choose. So this way, you can have both of us, and we can both have you." You nodded your head slowly. "Yes, well, this makes the most sense to me," you said. "If you're both okay with it, then let's do it," you added with another nod. "We would both be very open to caring for you and doing our best to complement your needs," Hizashi said. "And I know you already complement my needs." "Mine too," Aizawa added. "Okay, well, let's make it official then. You're both my boyfriends," you said, stepping over and opening your arms to first hug Hizashi and then Aizawa, and then you all hugged as a group. "Well, this will take me a little to get used to," you said, turning to Aizawa and kissing him on the cheek, and then turning to Hizashi to kiss him on the cheek. "I don't mind this though." "Can I have a kiss on the lips?" Hizashi asked eagerly, and you nodded, leaning in to kiss him and then turned to kiss Aizawa on the lips too. "Yeah, I really don't mind this at all. This is great," you said with a contented sigh. Hizashi chuckled. "Same goes for us too," he said. "It's a welcomed, unexpected outcome, something that you're not expecting, but it's also very nice and rare." "Like a sun shower," Aizawa replied, and you nodded. "Yeah, like a sun shower," you said, reaching up to hug both the boys again. "We're the sun shower throuple." And there you have it, the final ending to Sunshower, as poetically ended as I possibly could make it. Stay tuned for next week. More one-shots coming your way. I'll see you then.